I think some people were very angry that, or at least concerned that I left millennials, took millennials off the hook. That I said to them that that it's not their fault. And the fact of the matter is, that's true. Every single generation is subject to issues of their own upbringing. For example, can we really hold it against those who grew up in the Great Depression that they were a little more miserly than the rest of us, a little more penny pinching than the rest of us? I mean, they grew up in the Depression, for heaven's sakes. Or the Boomer generation, who were very cynical of leadership positions. Well, they grew up during the Vietnam War and during Richard Nixon. Every generation is affected by the environments in which they grow up. And the question was about millennials, and the point is that we have to have empathy, not just for millennials, for anybody. People are who they are because of the environments in which they grow up with. That doesn't excuse them, but it allows us to have empathy for the situation in which they grew up. And the same goes here. Of course, millennials have a lot of work to do. Only they can take responsibility for their own behavior. But what we're saying is the way we treat them, or the way we think about them, and maybe the way we label them, let's have a little more empathy for the environment in which they grew up that, for people like me who are older, didn't grow up that way. I have a memory of a time before cell phones, before email. I went to college and email was just beginning. So the point is, I didn't grow up the same way, and I cannot relate to how they're growing up. It's just about empathy. That's all it is. And I think it's a good practice for everyone to have a little more empathy for everyone else. But of course, millennials have a lot of responsibility for their own behavior, and they have to take action and do the heavy lifting, hard work, learn the patience to learn how to build the relationships and overcome some of the challenges they feel.